What is up YouTube? And today we have another 7 Nights Rebirth video, and we're going to be talking all about ruby farming once again. This won't be a guide or anything, but it's mostly going to be just a video to talk about where you want to farm, why it's important to actually progress in adventure to farm higher stages, and basically some breakpoints in the stages where you get really good rewards. So as you guys know, ruby farming is a key part of the game. You can see in the main menu here, I am farming rubies with the missions because every time you level up a hero or even fodder to level 30, you get 20 rubies, and it just keeps going forever and ever. And basically, the breakpoints in terms of EXP, if you guys don't already know, in terms of normal adventure, the first area that you can ruby farm is going to be 2-1. The next one, which will make it so that your fodder hits level 30 in an extra run, basically one round faster, is going to be 8-1. The next one that will make it even faster than that will be 11-1 over here. And then the next one after that will be 14-1. And that's where the EXP will actually cap in terms of how many runs you need to level fodder to level 30. And of course, while you're doing this, with the current event going on, if you guys are watching this in the future, it's not going to be running anymore. But you can get some reward boxes from events, and you can even get legendary characters to drop, which people don't know about, but you can actually get legendary characters. Pretty much every single character in the game except for the banner characters and also the characters that are going to be, Knights of the Old. So basically, Rosie, Fi, and Jury as of this video. So a lot of people wonder, why don't you just stop at 14-1? Why do we have to push into Nightmare? Well, Nightmare is a little bit different because Nightmare will actually drop the same EXP, slightly more gold, not really too noticeable honestly. But the biggest thing is it can drop accessories, and accessories are going to be extremely important because you cannot really play top PvP without these legendary accessories. You know how Tio can cheat death and revive and have that immortality? Well, a lot of these rings will provide a similar effect. You can see that Age Ring of Authority, or I guess Ring of Authority, when you die, basically you just end up not dying and then you get a barrier. The Age of Immortality, when you end up dying, you just get immortality in general. And then the Ring of Resurrection, when you die, you literally revive. So you can see these are super OP. And then some of these rings are actually very strong. The blue ones will have usually a support effect, nothing too crazy in terms of just pure stats. This one's very good for single target fights. You could see that you get single and triple target attack boost. You get one for boss damage and stuff like that. There's a lot of different ones like quintuple and quadruple, so AoE attacks. The green ones are mostly going to be status effects, which you can really abuse. The death one is very good for death teams. There's going to be some freeze ones, which works on AoE hits from Jury and stuff like that. And Yoni with 2 targeted basic attack, it also works. And then the ones below, the uncommon ones, or I guess the common ones, the gray ones, even though you might think, oh, they're the lowest rarity, well, they're very good. They give you damage, they give you crit rate, they give you block, and it's really important to farm these. So basically, Nightmare is important to get into, but it's not really worth it unless you can farm it with 1 farmer on each team. If you run 2 in one team or 2 in both teams, you end up losing too many rubies, where you're probably going to want to farm in just normal. Now, if you can't farm in Nightmare, you don't have to stop at 14-1. What I actually recommend is farming in 16-1. So you'll see 15-1, it's the same thing. You get slightly more gold. For every chapter you go up, you get slightly more gold. So technically farming the hardest chapter is the best thing to do for more gold. And in chapter 16, you're going to see that a new box appears. And this is only for chapter 16 and up for normal. In Nightmare, it'll appear in chapter 16 and up again. And you'll see that it is going to be this golden box. And this will make it so that you have a chance to get this gold box. Now, the rates are really low, and I'll show you guys the rates in a bit. But you can see, if you get this box, it solves a lot of the gold problems because you have a chance at 1 million gold, and it's 20%. So pretty important if you're still farming normal to get to 16 if you can and start farming it, because you'll just be getting more gold passively, and you have a chance at the gold box, which is going to be very good. Now, in terms of if this is better than Nightmare, there's no way, because like I said, accessories are just way too important. So you're going to want to farm the Nightmare stages once you can, but 14-1, 16-1, even 11-1 are fine to farm until you get strong enough with 2 farmers to farm here while doing raids in between. Now, people have this misconception that once you get to Nightmare 1-1, you can just farm there forever because, you can get these accessories, you can even get the legendary ones at 1-1. Well, the thing is, it doesn't cap at 4 stars. So the next breakpoint, obviously if you can farm 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, you'll be getting more gold, which is good. The EXP rates are still exactly the same though, but the next breakpoint you want to go to is going to be 6-1. Now the reason why is because if you look here, now you have a chance at 5-star accessories, even for legendaries. And 5-star accessories are going to be so much better than the 4-star, and then you can eventually get to 6-star. Now you'll see that chapter 5 doesn't have this option, you can only get 4 stars, so it starts exactly from chapter 6. And if you're thinking, oh, it can't be that much better, well, you're going to see that the increase is pretty significant. For example, if I look at the 5-star crit ring for the common ones, which you get a lot more often, you'll see that it's 6% crit. The 4-star ones are 3%, so it's literally double the value. Also on top of this, these rings give you these stat increases. 4-star will cap at 5% for each, and then the 5-star ones will go to 7.5, and then 6-star will go to 10%. So you're getting a lot more than just the ring passive. So it is very important to actually, climb up the nightmare ladder to eventually start farming these, because you can only get so strong from gear, and gear farming endlessly, you're just going for very minimal substat upgrades with RNG. With the rings, you just equip it and you're just getting like these big boosts. So very important. If I look at it once again, you'll see even for the legendaries, some of them are just a lot stronger. You'll see the Ring of Resurrection, for example, at 5 stars. When you die, you res with 50% HP. The 4-star one, you res with 25%. So it's double the HP you res with, and you also are getting more stats. So this is another breakpoint to really go for. And then of course, similar to normal mode, you want to farm as high as you can because you're going to be getting more gold. But there's even one more breakpoint that is kind of like the endgame breakpoint for most players. Or I guess not the end game, but one of the endgame ones. And it's going to actually be in chapter 11. So if I find it here, you'll see chapter 11 starts dropping 6-star accessories. And before that, I think it's chapter 10, right, will only drop 5-star. So you can see that the chapter 11 is where 6 stars start dropping, which is why you want to eventually get to 11. And similar to, the 5-star and 4-star differences, you'll see like the Ring of Resurrection is going to be 100% HP now. So compared to the 4-star counterpart, you're getting 4 times the health, and you're getting double the stats from the ring, because remember, all of these stats cap at 5% at 4 stars, and then the ones at 6 stars will cap at 10% each. So you're getting 30% total stat, which is crazy. And if you look at like the other rings, right, you'll see the block ring, 10% block compared to 3%, compared to 6%. It's going to be the same with damage. You get 6% damage compared to 4%, compared to 2%. Even the status rings have like a huge difference. So if we look at like, I think this is the freeze ring, right? 5-star ring is 8%. I believe the, what's it called? 4-star ring is 4%. Then the 6-star ring is going to be 12%. So it's a huge difference. It's going to be pretty much the same thing for every single ring. So it's pretty important to continue pushing adventure as hard as you can in Nightmare. And I think people don't really realize that, because you really want to get to chapter 11 and start farming it as soon as you can. Obviously, it's not like something you could do in like one day or even like 1 week or maybe even 1 month, unless you like spend. But the thing is, you want to keep working there. And the difference between like chapter 6, for example, and chapter 11, when you're farming it in Nightmare, it's not that big of a difference in terms of the stats you need. Sure, you do need more stats, but by the time you're farming like chapter 6, you'll be able to farm chapter 11 pretty soon after, because you have to realize the first stage in each chapter is very easy, and it doesn't get that much harder as you progress. Now, if you're thinking, oh, okay, I just have to get to chapter 11, no, that's actually wrong. You want to eventually get to chapter 13. And even though it's not apparent here in like the drop table, I'll show you through this data mine spreadsheet that I think someone posted in Discord and has been kind of floating around everywhere now. So here is this data mine spreadsheet. As you can see, I know it's pretty hard to see, but I can't really zoom in, otherwise you can't see the whole chart. But basically you can see at the top in the first half, this is the normal stages. The second half at the bottom is going to be the Nightmare stages. You can see that it goes from chapter 1 to 20 here at the top, and then chapter 1 to 20 at the bottom, just kind of signifying that it's normal versus Nightmare. And it makes sense because you'll see the EXP increases from 2-1 to 8-1 here, and even though it increases to 9-1 and 10-1, it's not actually enough to level up your character. So it will then go to 11-1 at 1060 XP, and then 14-1 for 1150. That's like the breakpoints that we talked about. And you'll see, even if you look at 16-1 at normal, the gold chest chance is 0.1%. So that is 1 in 1,000 runs, you're going to average 1 gold chest. That is pretty much the same as pulling on the full moon banner and getting a Knight of Old. So it's a very low chance. So It's not something you really want to farm over Nightmare because it's such a small chance for not even a huge gold reward, and it's something that you just do as a bonus until you can get into Nightmare. Now, when you look at the Nightmare drop table, this is where it gets pretty interesting. I'm going to zoom in for this one because we're done looking at normal, but you're going to see that this is going to be 2-star fodder where my mouse is, the second block, right next to this empty one. The one after is going to be 3-star fodder drop rate. And then the one after this one at 0.93 here is going to be the 4-star fodder drop rate. So you can see as you start climbing the stages, and it's going to be the same for normal too, you'll get better fodder. And that's good because you can fuse more, you can get your gear unlocked quicker, and you could save a lot of materials. And then you'll see at chapter 6 here, if you go to this column over here on the right, you'll see that the percent to get the 4-star accessory, this is the 4-star accessory column starting at 0.67, drops to 0.58 at chapter 6, and then you get 0.14 for the 5-star accessories. And you can see if you add this together, it's 0.72, and chapter 1 is 0.67. So you're just getting more accessories the further you go. So even if you're at chapter 1 and you are killing it super fast, you probably want to keep going and farm the hardest stage you can because you're getting more and more chances at accessories. And accessories are very important in this game, like I said. And then at chapter 11, you'll see that that's the breakpoint where you start getting these 6-star accessories at 0.07%, which is super low, but you will get them sometimes. And then you'll see what I mentioned earlier. The reason why you want to go to chapter 13 eventually is because this is where you start getting the highest chance at the 6-star accessories. After that, it's all the same. You only go further if you want more gold, basically. But 0.08% compared to 0.07 is actually a pretty big deal. Even though it's only 0.01, the chance is so low anyways that you want any increase you can get. So chapter 13 is going to be a very good point to eventually aim for, right? You're not going to get it in the first month or even the second month, but getting there will take time, but something to set your goals for so you have something to, work towards. And then the biggest part about this as well, not the biggest part, the accessories are the biggest part, but another big part of it is at chapter 11-1, you only get 3-star fodder as well. So 11-1 should be everyone's like endgame goal to farm in for Nightmare because you're going to be ruby farming more than anything else in the game by far because accessories are going to be super important for getting into PvP. And 11-1 gives you those 6-star accessories, and also you only get 3-star fodder. So this makes it so that when you're actually fusing in game, you can actually get so many like 6-star fodder, which is going to be very good. So if we actually look at like my account here, you're going to see that I have so much 6-star fodder that I just don't know what to do with it. You can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's actually crazy, holy. I have 20, right? And you're probably thinking, oh, why don't you just craft with it? Well, I already crafted this month as well. And what I mean by that is putting 10 of these to get this random legendary hero. So not really much to do with it, but just unlock gear slots with it. I could put it in my storage as well. But another thing is once you get past, I think it's 6-1, it might be 5-1 Nightmare, you start unlocking Mercure's lab. Now I'll have a guide for this a little bit later down the line because this is mostly for super late game players or whales. And what you can basically do is you can kind of fuse not only rares, it's mostly going to be for legendaries honestly, but once you have a ton of excess gold, which you will eventually have when you get to the late game, and once you have a ton of these fodder, what people actually end up doing with their rare fodder like this, once they don't need to unlock gear slots, is you're going to see that you can fuse into legendaries. So there's a lot of different like things you have to know about Mercure Lab, but essentially what we're talking about today is fusing into legendaries. So you can see at level 1, which is what I'm currently at because I'm using only rare fodder, you have a 3% chance for a legendary hero to show up in one of these 5. And then you'll have a chance when you spin the wheel, when you actually stop predicting, to actually claim that hero. So I'll try to like show it with you for you guys, I guess. But you can see right away, I actually got a legendary right away. That's actually pretty crazy. But you can see I have Amelia here, right? So by using my 5 fodder here like this, I can keep predicting and refreshing it. Or I can do the black magic experimentation, and then you can see you spin the wheel and have a chance to get the legendary. So you can just try it right now. I don't really want to waste too much gold because I don't really want to do this right now. But I do end up getting, I think it's a rare hero because it was purple. Pretty cool animation, honestly. Yeah, I do get a rare and legendary, so it's okay. But you can see that, you can do something with your excess fodder later, which is why, it's really good. And on top of that, of course, if you are still unlocking your characters for PvP and stuff like that, you can do it way faster and you get way more gold. and you save a lot of gold as well. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because a lot of people seem to be confused on where they should farm and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you guys basically the breakpoints and like what you get from benefits for each stage. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. And if you guys have any questions, I have my Discord channel in my description box. You guys can join and ask me there. I respond like 50 times faster on Discord because even though I do look at YouTube comments, it's kind of hard because I have to scroll through a lot. While on Discord, it's a lot more easier and you can ping me. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.